serve your community, to serve your fellow citizens. This case is about one thing, ladies and gentlemen. This case is about accountability. That's all it's about. You've heard that liability has been determined. You, as a jury, have endured a very, very emotional day in a case that has rocked this community for the last 2.5 years. You, as citizens, came here and endured that, endured hearing about this incredible loss, this incredible grief, because you, as citizens, stood up. Despite the unimaginable, absolutely unimaginable and tragic way that Tyree Sampson lost his life, despite the fact that these two parents have had to live with this for 2.5 years, got on planes yesterday from St. Louis to come bare their souls to you, they showed up. When this news traveled not just to Orlando, that video that we saw was played all around the world. This case, when it happened, went all around the world. When somehow this boy fell out of a ride. Funtimes knew about it. They knew about it when the Department of Agriculture of the state of Florida found them responsible, found them culpable for this. They knew about it. When the court of the Ninth Circuit said, you are responsible, they knew about it. And each time, they didn't show up. They threw that summons in the garbage and never bothered to be accountable in the United States of America, in the state of Florida, and in Orlando. You saw where they are. They're everywhere. They're in over 20 states. They're in over 30 countries. They come to those trade shows. They're in this convention center. The convention center all around the country to sell their rides. They're making deals in America all the time. You saw the evidence. Because they're there to make that money. But they're not here for responsibility. There's only one group who can make them responsible. You know, Yarnell and Nakia stood tall to take that ride down. They went to the Florida legislature to get a bill passed to save future kids. They did all that. They can't make them accountable. They can't make them responsible. Only the Tyree Sampson jury can do that. And that is what is so amazing about this system. That 7 strangers came here today and had no idea what type of case they were going to be on. We all were selected for this case. That will not only live with this family for the rest of their lives, but with all of us. You know, rarely do you have a situation where the court has found a corporation already liable. And that's what you have here in this case. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to go over some stuff. You've already seen it. But what is really amazing is that a corporation who makes these rides can exist in all those places except for one. Can't be here. They can't be bothered. They can't look these two parents in the eyes and say, this is what happened. And we know why. What would they say? Their behavior, their conduct is absolutely egregious and indefensible. And they just said the heck. They absolutely held their noses up, not only to this family, but to this court, and to our entire system of justice. Because, well, we're from Austria. Well, it doesn't look like it. But yeah, pretty good presence in the United States of America, except for when it counts. And you've seen all these slides. You know where they are. All these places where they have these dangerous, dangerous rides that have to have security, have to have safety, have to have procedures, and they don't. And like Kim said earlier, this is not simple stuff. This is one of the potentially most dangerous rides you could build if you didn't do it right. And they absolutely didn't do it right. You saw the advertisements where they brag about it. The tallest in the world. We're going to do everything different. Even though we have a ride not as tall at Dollywood up in Gatlinburg, Tennessee, we're not going to tilt that one forward 30 degrees. We're not going to build it 430 feet. But I tell you what they do have on that one. Have a seatbelt. You've seen that. You've seen that throughout. There are two major unanswerable failures here, or no seatbelt, and then they allowed the seats to be manipulated. And you've seen all this. But this is how egregious this is. It was interesting that a juror said this morning, what about a scale? If it's a scale, how bad the conduct is. Well, I don't know what scale we can get. We can pick 1 to 10 to 1 to 100, 1 to a million. That's a million. When you know what safety is and what you have to have on the tallest rock tower in the world, that's going to go 75 miles an hour and stop. Why in the world wouldn't you have what you have on every other rock? Their behavior is absolutely unconscionable. And their own documents, where they say, oh, there's no need for an extra safety or seatbelt because the seat restraint system will fulfill more than the requirements. That's what they tell everybody. When they sell one to Blackwood College, or they sell one to Icon Park, or they sell one to Disney World, or Universal Park. That's what the manufacturer says. You don't need a seatbelt. They're telling the park owners, you don't need this, we're the manufacturer. That's how reckless they are. And that's why the court has found them absolutely negligent in this case. And if that's not enough, let's make sure that the seats can be changed. The only safety requirement we have, because we said the heck of the seatbelt, is that guardrail can absolutely keep you in place. Can't be touched. If you don't bring with it, what would you die? You let somebody nuts with a pitch. You can't do it. That's exactly what they do. And you've seen all this. You know they directed Tyree to C1. We know that prior to the accident, C1's harness proximity sensor was manually loosening, adjusted because this manufacturer, Funtimes, allowed it to happen. And again, these are the findings that the state of Florida paid for. The state of Florida did an exhaustive examination because the Department of Agriculture said this cannot happen again. It should never happen again. It's unthinkable. And this is exactly what happened. Why Tyree came out of that chair. And you've seen all this evidence, and it is uncontroversial, and the court has ruled on it. But it is absolutely egregious. There is no way in the world this happens. And when we talk about blames, when we talk about what we talked about in Bruce, how do you measure damages at a big time? One thing we have to think about, when we all talk about how using the child is something you can't allow our minds to go. We talked about it earlier. There's no room for it in our future. Absolutely no room for it. It's not like you're not. It's the most unnatural thing to happen. And I'm but you're not telling me it was the most important. Well, I'm not understanding. But you don't need to know. Everyone in the world would see that movie and just how in the world could that's something that you can't really put it in the half of the day. And you'll know of the day. Question, how? This can't be real. Nakia goes into that room. This cannot be real. He has to be here. Darnell wakes up in the morning. This has to be the day. This has to be the day that he is coming back, because this could not have happened here. And that is what, ladies and gentlemen, the jury, I keep saying ladies and gentlemen, I apologize. This is the jury. We're going to the birth of we're going to get two of these. And we talked about it. You know, we talked about in the jury instructions, verse 1, it says medical and funeral expenses. That's all there's anything. This is about the pain and suffering. And like we talked about earlier, you as the jury have to do a lot of this journey. And it starts March 23rd. Starts a couple miles. It starts right there with this inside. Because that's where all the evidence comes in of that phone call. See, the video has taken that someone showed the night. You have to start there and go through today. 2.5 days. Every single day. Every single night. What these parents have. You talked about how we look back image of her mind for the rest of her life. Going through that room alone and deciding that have to be that very widely. You're now thinking about what is the son really was. Both of them, there's no football. Worried about it's a little dream about state citizenship. All the things that they see in this, but every day in the past and then in the future. And that is what you, as the jury, have to do in this case. And I'll tell you something that I believe is really, really. You heard both parents up there pouring their souls, talking about they feel bad. They should have been here. That's like someone, God forbid, in 9/11, that flight that thinking was good. I was on that plane. How did I not know that? We all know they did absolutely nothing wrong. And let their child be rewarded who deserved it. We heard about Tiger. And what incredible young man. He deserved to go on vacation with his best friend. But the kid right now are loving parents who they're protected. He says, I could have done something. I guess that's part of being just a loving, wonderful parent. But that pain that they have, and it's so unfair that they feel that pain, that Funtimes doesn't have the absolute courage to come not only face them, but face the court, face them. I'm really struck with their pain. I could have protected my child. My real action. And what the prove, not the entity that should have protected him, doesn't even have the guts to do it. All that factors in when you think about this young man and the loss of his life. You've seen all the pictures. It's been a one day, but I think you have gotten an incredible view at this young man who not only this incredible family lost, but truthfully, we all lost. The well-roundedness. Yes, he was going to be a football star, but he was going to be so much else to so many people, to so many kids. You saw him in class. I mean, these pictures of him as the gentle giant in this class with these young kids who you know looked up to him like a god. What did he do? How did he meet that? With humbleness, with kindness, with everything that Nakia, Yarnell, and the whole family put into him to make him what he was. And you heard both of them say from that stand, it's not fair, and they were robbed of him. They were robbed of him for the rest of his life. You know, what a 14 years. When you look at this experience that we've only seen in this one day, to look through it and see how absolutely amazing he was. The leader, the friend. I think it was said from the stand that he was the perfect thing. The absolute perfect thing. And you know, the problem is when you have complete innocence on one side and it meets up with absolute corporate indifference, uncaring, you have a tragedy. That's what happened on March 24th of 2022. Now, how do you do this? You've got to do it both in the past and in the future. And we're going to suggest some damage numbers to you, ladies and gentlemen, but it is up to you. It is up to you in this case. But when you look at the past 2.5 years that the has gone through, every single day, every single night, that video in her mind, waking her up at night, absolute nightmares and terrors, we would suggest a number of $15 million. And in the future, if I could list you for hours, everything that she has done to us, and you'll never have been missed, and falling in love, and getting married, and having kids. Every adversity that parents do that to their kids, every adversity that they would do, and not have him to go to talk to. Every game, every time, every girlfriend, because the rest of the day, you heard the more power table than 60 years, and we suggest in the future $45 million. The same, obviously, we are. We talked about this in Blood Eye. This is a monumental, absolutely monumental case that you have two separate claims. You know, sometimes people, you know, they talk about the loss and they don't differentiate everything that a mother feels in the son, everything that a father feels. They're different, but they're the same. And that's what you have in this case. And we talked about it before. Juries are powerful. We're incredibly powerful because you're the only entity that can hold them accountable. But it's not all powerful. Because just like both of these parents said in this family, you're all powerful, and they're March 23rd, 2022. Nobody. That world, very, very strong. Let's put it down and find it.